Today, I'm going to show you a complete overview and review of the Eskimo Grizzly on the ice. Coming in at about $850, the Eskimo Grizzly is one of the biggest ice shelters on the market. After owning it for over a year now, I have put together my thoughts on it, and I am thoroughly versed in the features of the sled. Join me on the ice for a complete and thorough review. One of the helpful tips for the Eskimo Grizzly is it's heavy, and if you're doing it by yourself, you're gonna need one of these ramps. This is a tri-fold aluminum ramp here, and I can just pull the thing out very carefully because it's so heavy. Slide down the ramp. And the best part about it is putting it back up because it's so big and awkward that you can't really like walk like that, so you're gonna have to use this ramp and push it up into there. I've used it a couple times like this. Works real nicely. I would highly suggest this little hack here for the Eskimo Grizzly. As you see now, as I'm just loading my things into the ice shelter, there's ample storage space for everything I'd want to put into the sled. The other thing too is the Eskimo Grizzly sucks to pull. So let's go over to their page and I'll show you how much it weighs. Then we'll go over to me and showing you how I'm pulling it. Here's some of the specs from Eskimo's website. It's a 2 to 3 person shelter. It weighs 128 pounds, and that's without your gear. And you can also see a setup size and collapse size and a couple other things to look at. Of these accessories, I have the deluxe travel cover, the 70-inch tracking kit, the deluxe tow hitch, and the universal tray mount. I think the tracking kit is a must if you're going to save the bottom of your sled from getting all scuffed up, but honestly, it is quite the durable sled. Alright, I'm pulling this thing with a backpack strap. It's made by Clam, and basically what I've done is on the tow bar mount that I've put on this, I hook carabiners and this whole backpack contraption, and I pull real hard. On slick ice, pretty easy. On this snow here, snow's easier. On the gravel or concrete or something, not so much. It's a lot. You can get this thing fully loaded, probably up to 200 pounds. You see it behind me there, the Eskimo Grizzly. I have it loaded with all of my gear. It's kind of okay for me to pull it since I am a younger guy. A lot of energy. For older dudes or something, or just if you're not really that physically fit, highly recommend a snowmobile or four-wheeler. Alright, as you can see, got the Eskimo Grizzly now at a spot, so I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set up. I'm going to do that real quick. First off, probably don't want this auger on top. I'm just going to move that. I really want you to watch this. The thing has these little extendable brackets here, and when you lift it up, they click into place. See, that just clicked, if you could hear it. Same with this one, it just clicked. Once you do that, you just go on the next one and so on. Now this last one is a little hard to push up, but that's just getting the tension out of the cloth. Yeah, and they're all snapped in. This took me less than a minute. There's a snap. Just snaps like that. It's all locked in. Alright, now that the Eskimo Grizzly is all set up on the ice, let's go over some features. The first one, this door here. This is real nice. The fabric of the Eskimo Grizzly is made out of 900 denier, so it's the thickest that they make. This door, you can fully zip it up and you can just Velcro it right there. Another feature, there is 4 windows on every side of the ice shelter. They just fold down like this. I'm showing you the example outside here, and they're clear. You can also, this Velcro comes off here, so you can completely take it out if you want. And then if you don't want them down, they have zippers. They zip right up. In addition to the front door, there's also this back door here. It's very easy to grab your gear, like so. I need my rods right now, so I can just grab them out like this without climbing over everything. It's especially helpful as you see there's 2 seats, which means that you don't have to climb over your buddy fishing. Alright, I'd just like to cover 2 things while we're still outside. The first, right under here, is the tow bar that I have my carabiners that I was towing it with attached to. Now, for the tow bar, you can unvelcro this here, put the bars through, and then hook it up to your vehicle. So then, when you flip it over like this, you can still be hooked up and still use the ice shanty without sacrificing the full flap that goes around the entirety of the shanty. The second thing is, you see right here, this is the rubber strip that goes around the rear side of the ice tent, which secures the fabric to the sled. So I'd recommend a helpful trick for this is you can actually space it out a little beforehand before trying to shove it on there and put the screws on there. Especially tucking this thick 900 denier fabric, you might want to space the strip out just a tiny bit so you can actually get it over the sled and the fabric before you screw it down. You also might want a power drill because these are self-tapping screws, so it's a little hard to do by hand. Another thing too is there's strap downs. You can actually tie some rope or whatever to pin this thing down in heavy wind. The thing is, the thing's so darn heavy, they'll hardly ever blow away. You also got the grommets and the full wraparound flap here, like that. The other thing I wanted to mention is this ventilation flap, which means you're fully safe to put a heater in there. If you open up that flap, you can get some good ventilation, some good air coming in. This is the inside view of the ventilation flap if you're wondering. There's a pull down here so you can get all your ventilation that you want. It just goes right through. The other nice thing about this ice shanty is you see it's reflective. When you shine a light on it at night, you can see this thing reflect at you, so you're not gonna miss it. Okay, let's talk about some more things inside the sled. Here's the bracket that you put your poles onto to hold up the shanty. Goes in that orientation, and everything kind of revolves around that. There is a pocket system that you can put anything like a phone in on either side. So I'm sure you're probably wondering about the seats. The seats are very nice on this thing. Since the sled is roto-molded, it's very sturdy. Actually, you can just lift the seats completely up like this to get at your gear, and they go right back down. You can fold the chair up and sit on them. They move side to side to kind of work it a little, but it goes back and forth. So I can put it all the way in, mostly all the way out there, and they move forward and back depending on where you want to sit. The other thing with the seats, you can take one of them or both of them out if you would like. You just use these pins, pull the pins out, slide the tube out of there, pull the entire seat out, and you can take the tube out or put the tube back in there, depending on what you want to do. You might see these bolts on the bottom of my sled and you're wondering what's that for. Well, if you're familiar with the bottom of sleds, they can get beat up when you drag them over the ground or gravel or the concrete or something. So you put a running kit or high-fax kit, as some people also know it by. The problem I had with this, which hopefully Eskimo can fix, is that the included bolts for the running kit, they're full size. You have to get the biggest one for this tent. on their full-size one to fit the Grizzly, the bolts were not long enough, so I actually had to go to the hardware store and get longer ones to secure the thing. So that was a minus for that. The sled also comes with these poles here that can go across the back and up the top and over to the front. The thing with these is I reckon I never use them. I don't need to. The fabric is sturdy enough. The only circumstance I would reckon to use them is if you were going to be fishing in a heavy snowstorm. A lot of snow. This thing can withstand a beating from a lot of snow, especially if you put those poles and if you put tie downs down. You could definitely, this thing is built tough. Okay, this here is a helpful accessory. This is the table. So you can kind of tell I've used it a little. It's a little dirty. But this is one of the products from Eskimo, and you can lift this up and actually pull it down in there if I didn't have a bunch of gear blocking it. But it just pulls up, folds, sets back down into place. You can put drinks on that, your tackle, your wax worms. That's what I typically do, and that makes it real nice. Let's go over the last two features. The tent is held down by these Velcro straps. And they just go over on the tops of the poles for the sled. The one thing might be a downside. You can see there is no straps on any side portion of the fabric and the poles. So that could be a downside. But it hasn't been too much of an issue, and this thing is still darn warm. Another helpful tip I did. This is a lighting kit, not associated with Eskimo, but you can install that on the top bar and do that and hook it up to your flasher or the flasher battery, 12-volt battery. It helps at night because you can get it nice and lit up in here, and it fills up the whole thing. Another thing you might be wondering is what's the headroom in this thing? Well, as it stands, for the top bar here, I probably have a good 5 or 6 inches, and as I stand right now, I'm almost 6 feet. So you can definitely stand completely straight up in this ice shanty, which gives you a lot of hook sets, especially for you walleye fishermen who have those huge long poles. You can use that in this shanty, no problem. Big hook sets, no matter what. You got a lot of room to work with in here. I believe the spec is 28 square feet of foot area in this thing. So now I'm just going to show a panorama of inside the ice shelter. So we got the outside. As you walk in, you can see, look down, there's the sled. A lot of headroom in there. Hopefully see there's a lot of room at your feet. In case you're wondering, the little package to put a marker or a name on your sled goes right on there. So that's where you put that. The pin just goes right through that, and there's no hooking on. The last thing I can do is just kind of give you a walk around of the outside. As you can see, compared to the other Eskimos, the graphics are pretty darn cool looking, especially when you get to this back here. Just Grizzly with the claw marks, looks very cool, very stylish ice shanty. It's quite big for an ice shanty, but actually when you get out here, it doesn't seem too bad. You can see nice stylish markings. There's my backpack strap. Last thing, to keep yourself a little warmer, you can kick snow and pack in the whole flap thing here and really pack it down. It will seal off a lot of the light and a lot of the heat if it's really cold out. Alright, the final thing I'd like to mention is the storage for this thing. So it is very big, and that comes with the downside. You're going to need, if you have a truck, a 6.5 foot bed on that to actually enclose the back tailgate. Otherwise, a tailgate extender or something, because this thing is almost near the 6.5 foot mark. It's just a little too big for a 5.8 foot truck bed. The only other vehicle you're really going to be fitting this back into is a Suburban or something of that size where you can have fold all the seats down and push it into there. I know a lot of people will be putting it on a trailer because they'd be trailering their four-wheeler or snowmobile, so that's always an option too. Okay, so that's my review on the Eskimo Grizzly. If you have any questions about any of the functions or something inside of this thing, I can answer them in the comments section. I also ask you, if you made it to the end, please subscribe and like the video. I'm a growing channel here and I'd really like your support. Another thing to check out is I have an Instagram. You can follow me on that. And if you're interested in my cool logo, I have merchandise. It's linked in the description if you can check that out if you want. Alright, thanks for making it with me through this review, and I hope you enjoy your Eskimo Grizzly if you decide to purchase it. It's really fun, really great, really warm. The only thing is, it's quite big, might not be for all people.